that Supervisor Pyska will be coming right back in. Johanna, are you ready to move on?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, thank you very much. And we're just going to go ahead and march forward. I know Supervisor Pyska was with us just 2 seconds ago, so I'm sure she'll be back. But we're going to open up with item 7.5, presentation of Big Valley Groundwater Basin Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, SGMA, SIGMA, Progress and Groundwater Sustainability Plan Engagement Activities. And looking at who we have here available, I see that we do have Deputy Director Marina Delagianis.
Hi, hello, yes, thank you for having me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here.
And if we can turn off the lights, please. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, are you guys able to see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
Alrighty. Hi board, thank you so much for having me today. My name is Marina Delagianis. I serve as the Deputy Water Resources Director for the Lake County Watershed Protection District, and I also serve as the lead for the Big Valley Groundwater Sustainability Plan Advisory Committee. And I'm excited to be here today to give an update on our Big Valley Groundwater Basin as it relates to SIGMA. So just a very quick overview of what I am going to be discussing today. So again, I'll just do a refresher on our Big Valley Groundwater Basin, our groundwater sustainability plan, so highlighting the development to date, and then also our timeline, going forward into Big Valley stakeholder engagement and outreach, our Big Valley public meetings, and next steps. As always, I like to just set the foundation and outline a few of the acronyms that I will be throwing out during today's discussion. One being SIGMA, which is Sustainable Groundwater Management Act of 2014. GSA is a groundwater sustainability agency. GSP is a groundwater sustainability plan, and GSPAC is the Groundwater Sustainability Plan Advisory Committee. All right, so our Big Valley Groundwater Basin is identified as a medium priority basin under California Department of Water Resources Bulletin 118. So as required by SIGMA, all medium and high priority basins are tasked with developing a GSP by January 31st, 2022. So quickly here, our Big Valley Groundwater Basin lies south of Clear Lake, and it includes Kelsey Creek and Adobe Creek, which both flow into Clear Lake, and it is a source of water for the community of Kelseyville and Big Valley Rancheria. Our Big Valley GSA is the County of Lake Board of Supervisors in August of 2019, in compliance with SIGMA, elected to serve to sit as the Big Valley Groundwater Sustainability Agency. So this is where it kind of gets just a little bit confusing. So as you folks are aware, the County of Lake Board of Supervisors also serve as the Lake County Watershed Protection District Board of Supervisors. So therefore, when I refer to the Big Valley GSA, I'm also referring to the County of Lake Supervisors slash the Board of Directors of the Lake County Watershed Protection District. Now, on April 27th of 2021, the Board of Directors of the Lake County Watershed Protection District slash GSA, acting as the Big Valley GSA, adopted resolution number 2021-50, which they approved the Big Valley GSA charter document. And in this Big Valley GSA charter document, that included the formation of the Big Valley GSPAC, which again is the Groundwater Sustainability Plan Advisory Committee. So the goal of the GSPAC is to advise the Big Valley GSA on the development of the Big Valley Groundwater Sustainability Plan. And the intent of the GSPAC is to provide community stakeholder perspective and participation in local SIGMA implementation. So our GSPAC is composed of an ad hoc advisory committee of Big Valley stakeholders and include representatives from the Lake County Watershed Protection District, agricultural users, Big Valley Band of Pomo Indians, Lake County Land Trust, Lake County Special Districts, domestic well owners, Kelseyville Unified School District, Lake County Farm Bureau, Chi-Council for the Clear Lake Hitch, and we are currently, as you can see here, this screenshot is taken from our charter document that is currently on our website. We still have an open seat for a disadvantaged community representative, again, as outlined by SIGMA. So what is a GSP? You may be asking yourself. So basically the overarching idea of a GSP is to provide GSAs and a community a roadmap for how groundwater basins will reach long-term sustainability. Again, our GSP is due to the state January 31st, 2022. Once this GSP is not done, we still have a lot of work to do. This GSP is going to outline how we're going to ensure that we reach and maintain sustainability by the year of 2042. Now you may be asking yourself, who is building our GSP? It is a very tedious process, lots going into it. So we were awarded through DWR Sustainable Groundwater Management Program funds, $1.4 million with $0 cost share for planning money to develop this GSP. With this, we went through the RFQ proposal and we were able to onboard Ludorf and Scalmanini and Stantec Consulting Services to help us in the successful development of our GSP. Here you see our organizational chart. We have lots of folks on board, and this is just with our consultants. This doesn't include the hardworking staff of Water Resources necessarily, who are also helping us build this GSP. So all hands on deck, also our stakeholders, etc. All right, so I would like to highlight just a few different acronyms that we will be looking at, especially since we will be coming to the GSA in the next few months with some of these key points of our GSP development. The first acronym that I would like to highlight is SMC, and that stands for Sustainable Management Criteria. So this section, the SMC section in our GSP, again, is required by SGMA, and this section describes the sustainable management criteria which characterize the conditions that constitute sustainable groundwater management for our Big Valley Basin. The SMCs defines the sustainability goal and establish undesirable results, minimum thresholds, and measurable objectives for each applicable sustainability indicator. And then the second one that I would like to highlight acronym is the RMS, which is a representative monitoring site. So here you can see this graphic that I borrowed from DWR, and the RMS includes our subset of Basin's complete monitoring networks, where minimum thresholds, measurable objectives, and interim milestones are set. So RMSs can be used for one sustainability indicator or multiple sustainability indicators. And I would just like to disclose that with this graphic, you can see the ocean right here. Clearly that is not our groundwater basin, as we do not have to worry about, for example, seawater intrusion. This is just a graphic. The next acronym that I would like to highlight is MA, and that is Management Actions. So project and management actions look different for each groundwater basin. MAs are developed to focus on the need to increase supply, manage demand, or do both to achieve sustainable groundwater management under SGMA. Our GSPAC is currently in the process of identifying the priority MAs for the basin to include in our GSP. And this is just one snippet that I stole from our Excel document that has a variety of MAs that we are working on. And for example, this is just to develop upstream storage on Kelsey Creek. Again, that is just one tentative MA that we are looking at exploring. But again, we'll be bringing these priority MAs to the GSA for a consensus and selection of the priority ones that we want to actually include in our GSPs. The last acronym that I would like to highlight for this slide is GDE, and that stands for Groundwater Dependent Ecosystem. So the GSP regulations provide a specific definition of GDEs as ecological communities or species that depend on groundwater emerging from aquifers or on groundwater occurring near the ground surface. So GDEs include springs, seeps, and base flow of rivers and streams, which often sustain surface flow during dry period. So again, just as a reminder, we have two streams in our groundwater basin, Big Valley, which is Adobe and Kelsey Creek. And we all are aware of our Clear Lake Hitch, which is a listed species at the state level. And both of those creeks are priority spawning habitats for the Clear Lake Hitch. So we refer to that area as our GDE. All right, so this is a lot of fun, and you're probably asking yourself, how can I get involved? So we have been releasing draft chapters for our Big Valley GSP development for the last few months. You can find those on the Water Resources website. If you have any questions, you can always give us the call and we can direct you to that. So these chapters we are soliciting out, and we are requesting feedback from the community. If you do reach out and you do provide comment, you can provide those comments to water.resources@lakecountyca.gov. We have it listed there where you can see the line, etc. All the chapters that we have been in the process of developing and all the chapters that we still have yet to finish will be on that website, and we are taking public comment. There's also a public comment period that I will be talking about in the next slide. But again, these are out for public comment. We would really appreciate and value your feedback as we're in the process of developing these draft chapters. All right, I apologize, this is not a pretty slide. There's a lot of text on here, but this is our tentative timeline. So again, we have to submit our GSP to the state by January 31st of 2022. So we are in the final stretch here. A few key dates that I would like to highlight is on the 1st of October, we released our notice of intent to adopt our Big Valley GSP. This notice to adopt our GSP was sent out to the county, also the tribes, interested tribes in the area, and the tribes that have jurisdiction in the area, and then any cities in the area. Again, we don't have any cities in our Big Valley Basin. This notice of intent to adopt basically starts that 90-day time frame of, okay, here's the final stretch. We're planning on adopting this GSP. We understand it's still in the draft process right now, but please, we would welcome any feedback, any communications that you may be interested in to make sure that we do this properly. The next one is on 11/2. It is tentative that the GSPAC will be coming before the Board of Directors acting as the GSA to consider the SMCs and the communication and engagement plan that I will be talking about in the next slide. The next date that I would like to highlight is the 21-day public review of the GSP, which again will be released early November. The next date is 12/22/21, the final draft of the GSP to be posted. 1/11/22, Big Valley GSA adopts GSP. And then 1/21/22, adopted Big Valley GSP submitted to DWR for review and approval. And then once we submit that adopted GSP to DWR, they have a 75-day window for public review and comment where anyone can comment on. Again, I put tentative timeline, but as you can see, there are certain dates that we have to hit. So we are staying as close, if not on this exact timeline, as possible.
I think she froze for a second.
Can you hear me?
Hey, you're back.
Thank goodness. What part of the last slide?
You were sharing with us just the last of the information on the calendar, all your stars to show us the important upcoming meetings.
Yes.
We missed you for about 5 seconds, not even.
Okay, perfect. Yes, the stars are the key dates. All right, so shifting gears into stakeholder engagement and outreach. So in February of 2020, DWR awarded Lake County Watershed Protection District Facilitation Support Services, also known as FSS, to aid in our priority to properly conduct stakeholder outreach, GSA development, and public outreach activities through our Big Valley Basin. So through these awarded services, we have been working very closely with Stantec Consulting Services, who helped us develop these outreach and engagement tools, such as meetings, so all of our GSPAC meetings, any workshops that we've had, workshops that we're planning on having in the future, presentations, information, interested parties list, website ideas and designs, etc. So again, we've been working very closely with Stantec. They have also conducted stakeholder interviews with the stakeholders that you see on this slide. They have been a big benefit to us and have really helped develop this stakeholder engagement, communication and engagement plan that I will be showing right now. So the Big Valley Basin Communication Engagement Plan provides a high-level overview of potential near and long-term outreach strategies, tactics, and tools that support public and stakeholder communication actions, again, as required by SGMA, and for the consideration of the Big Valley Groundwater Sustainability Agencies. So the purpose of this plan, which we currently have the draft out now, and again, we would appreciate any feedback, input that the folks that you guys or that the community members may have on this draft plan. Again, you can find that on our water resources websites. The purpose of this plan is to meet outreach and engagement requirements outlined by SGMA, and most importantly, details the activities for engaging interested parties in GSA activities, GSP planning, and future implementation. So this plan also identifies a strategy for communicating with all stakeholders, details how stakeholders' involvement and feedback helps guide GSP development and implementation. As we know, our stakeholders in the basin are the ones that know our basin best. So it's important that we have these conversations and we communicate with them and that they have a seat at the table. And this plan also identifies the methods and tools for communication and engagement. Again, you can find this plan on our Water Resources website, and please take a gander at it and let us know if you have any input or ideas or comments or edits on this draft plan that we have. So there are multiple ways for the community to be involved in this process. I know we have a very quick timeline coming up, but the fun will not stop there. Again, after we submit this GSP, we still have a long road ahead of us to ensure that we reach and maintain sustainability. So the fun will not stop after January 31st, 2022. One of the most important ways that folks can participate in these discussions about our Big Valley GSP development process is by participating in our GSPAC meetings, and we meet at 11 a.m. Pacific time via Zoom right now on the fourth Friday of every month. You can find that calendar again on the Water Resources website. So we will be meeting on the 28th of October, and we also have a special meeting taking place on this Friday. It's a GSPAC meeting. Please join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're not able to join us in real time, you can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube. We have all of our recorded meetings. We have subcommittee meetings as well that any member of the community can participate in. We have the presentation slideshows. You can give us a call. You can come to the counter. We would love to talk groundwater with you. I can talk groundwater for days, clearly. So join us. It's a lot of fun. You can also subscribe to our Stay Connected page where you can put in your name, email, and any other information that you feel comfortable doing. And that way you can be sure to get those routine emails and reminders of meetings coming up, ways that you can remain involved in our Big Valley GSP development process. So we do have some exciting next steps taking place. The first one that I would like to highlight is the Airborne Electromagnetic AEM surveys. So we are coordinating with the California Department of Water Resources. They are in the process of conducting these AEM surveys where data collection is feasible, and our Big Valley Basin is one of those. They are assisting local water managers as we implement our SGM requirements. And by doing this, the AEM measures the electromagnetic responses of the subsurface. So the data that is collected, as you can see, there's a helicopter here. That's exactly what it's going to look like. Responses to the subsurface of this data is collected using geophysical instruments on a hoop that is towed beneath the helicopter, and we are anticipating that these surveys will be taking place at the end of this month, early next month. We will be giving folks proper heads up and notification, and in the next week or two, Water Resources, we're going to be doing more of outreach activities in terms of notifying the public, doing informational videos, providing any resources, just so folks are aware that these big helicopters are going to be flying around and collecting these surveys for our groundwater basin. Another thing that we're looking forward to is we are in the process of applying for DWR's technical support services. This is very similar to the facilitation support services that we were awarded by DWR. As you can see, we have had a lot of help and support from our friends at the state level during this entire process. We wouldn't be this far without the support services from the state. So the TSS services, we currently have a data gap for water quality in our groundwater basin. So what we are doing is we are applying for these TSS services for a monitoring well in the basin, and we have team members who are actively working on that application process. Another opportunity that we will be taking in the near future is, again, applying for DWR Sustainable Groundwater Management Grant. As a reminder, we were awarded $1.4 million with $0 cost share to develop our GSP. That was a planning grant, but everything that we put in our GSP, we have to follow through. So we can't just walk the walk, we have to talk to talk. So with that, we're going to be applying for these funds to actually do the implementation part of our GSP. And that application will be submitted in the next, I would say 4 to 6 months, but don't quote me on that. All right, so I will be taking questions right now. With this, I also have information. If you want to give us a call, send us an email at water.resources@lakecountyca.gov. Again, please put GSPAC in the line. Come see us on the 4th floor. Give us a call at 707-263-2344. All of our information for our Big Valley GSP is updated on a daily basis on the Water Resources website. And then you can also check out our friends at the Water Board and DWR. They have a lot of information on Sigma and groundwater as well. So with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen and take any questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I do want to make a quick correction unless I heard incorrectly. Do not go visit Water Resources on the 4th floor. You might have a struggle finding it. Make sure you go to the 3rd floor. But other than that, really appreciate all the information and all the work that you're doing for this. And we do have a comment from Supervisor Pyska.
I really appreciate all the work that everyone's doing and the volunteers that are helping put this together. But along the lines of our conversations earlier today, I know that I am not the only supervisor that gets complaints of water trucks filling off of wells, and I have been receiving them for wells that are in the Big Valley Basin. And if we're working to develop a sustainability plan for this basin, and then we have this type of water use, how is that affecting the plan? Is this legal to do? Can you just kind of talk about the impacts of that for a minute?
Yeah, and thank you so much for that question, Supervisor Pyska. So if folks are not aware, we do have our County Code Ordinance, Chapter 28, which is groundwater. It's not as, I would say, specific in terms of our Big Valley groundwater basin. You know, with this is relatively new. This is the first time we've had a medium priority basin in our county out of the 13 groundwater basins. So our rules and regulations are not yet final right now. So currently there's nothing in our ordinance that highlights and prioritizes our groundwater basin. I don't want to say that folks that should, you know, I don't want folks to feel like they can't report that, because they should. Especially if it's in our Big Valley Basin, you should be reporting that. Give us a call at Water Resources and we can work with the state. Again, we're in close communications with the state. This entire GSP process, we're going to have a better idea of how that is how that situation and those activities are impacting our groundwater basin. So things will be coming down the funnel as we had these discussions earlier, especially as it relates to our groundwater basin in the next few months. So that's exactly the whole purpose of our GSP, is to highlight that. So with that being said, again, we do get these reports. We do report those with the state, especially the State Water Resources Control Board. If folks have any questions or confused on where to go, again, just give us a call. The State Water Resources Control Board, I have that link that I can share with the board members as well, and you can forward those to your constituents, and they can also report possible violations of water rights, and the state will look into that as well. If you do submit a report, they will be looking into that, and they will have the best idea for that.
Awesome. So people can report this to Water Resources, but then also it's really important at this time to be reporting dry wells or lower productivity, and what's the process for that?
Yeah, great question. So the state also has a My Dry Well Tracking reporting website, where if you want to report that to us, you can report that to OES, Environmental Health. What we do is the state has a statewide tracking system. There's also resources available for folks who have wells going dry that we can help guide you to those resources as well. So again, if you don't feel comfortable submitting that report on your own, we do need the APN or the address of where that well is located. If you just give us a call and say, hey, I have an idea, you know, I think this well is going dry, but I don't want to give you the idea. That's not a proper report, and we can't do anything about that. So I feel like the easiest thing that would happen is if you just wanted to give us a call, and we can help walk you through doing that reporting, or you can find that on California Department of Water Resources, My Dry Well Tracking. And again, those resources are available on DWR's website, and then we're also going to put a link on our Water Resources website as well.
Thank you.
Any other comment from board members? Okay. I do appreciate this. This is about the future of our agriculture economy that's happening in that area, and making sure that the water continues to be available to continue with the activities that we have in that area. I think it's an important project. It's unfortunate how bureaucratically involved it gets. This coming directly from the state, so it's very intense, but I appreciate the hard work that's coming through. I did have a quick question about your calendar of, for the lack of a better term, calendar of future events. January 11th, is that the board meeting that this will come back to us, or at least anticipated date of when it will come back to us so that we approve?
Yes, yes. And what we're doing is we're working with our consultants to make sure that we actually line this up with the board agenda as well, because that's slightly important to make sure that we have this fall on a board day. So yes.
Okay, and so it looks like we have at the minimum of 3 upcoming board meetings that will continue to update us with all the happenings of the GSA, and we will continue to learn more and get ready to prepare to submit what's been put together to the state. So thank you very much for that. Let's go ahead and open it up for the public and see if anyone from the public has any questions. And I see none in the boardroom, and I see none in the Zoom room. And so let's go ahead and close public comment and bring it back. And it looks to me as if we have no further comments or questions. Really appreciate your time and your absolute enthusiasm for everything groundwater related, and look forward to further information coming from the GSA.
Thank you so much, board. I appreciate your time today.
All right, thank you so much. So we're going to take on item 4.1, and that is the extra item that was approved. So I'm just going to read it from Part B. Consideration for selection of supervisors to speak to the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, Go Biz, about North Lakeport Train Project. As you know, we've put together an agreement with the company Train to look at energy efficiencies, upgrades in the area. They started looking at innovative solutions. One of those was looking at the North Lakeport area. And there's been an invitation to us to go talk to the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, Go Biz, and they contacted me. I made sure that we also involved Supervisor Scott, since it's in her district, and also she happens to be the liaison for the board with Sonoma Clean Power, who also happens to be a stakeholder in this project. So I wanted to make sure to not only let the public be aware and the board be aware that these are things that are continuously to move forward. We've had a few meetings now with Michael Day from Train, who has let us in on some of the applications that he submitted. But I also wanted to make sure that the board itself had the ability to choose who this delegation to go to Go Biz would be, rather than just going with what was selected to begin with. And so I want to open it up for discussion to see if anybody else wishes to be a part of this conversation. I know that I'm honored to have been asked and requested, but I'm also not married to the idea of having to be in that room if someone else is more wanting to be a part of this process. I would like to say that I would suggest that Supervisor Scott needs to remain on the delegation, as I think it's important for her to represent the area that the project will be produced in, but the other person I think should be up for discussion and seeing where it goes. So opening it up for board members.
Go for it, Bruno.
Supervisor Simon.
Now, at this point, obviously, I think anything coordination, collaboration with the governor's office, business and economic development.
Turn on your microphone, please.
Oh, thank you. Is a positive thing. So I'm fine with the delegation as set up. So.
Okay. And if there's no further comments, then let's go ahead and open it up for the public. Any comments on the delegation to Go Biz? Seeing none in the boardroom and none in the Zoom room, then we will bring it back. And as I said, this was more for transparency as well as the opportunity in case any one of us chose to take on that opportunity, but I'm happy to go along with Supervisor Scott and support what needs to be discussed.
One last thing, and maybe you guys are already doing this too. I know we're going over there for a specific project, but make sure bringing up everything that we're looking for.
We have other projects.
The whole list, of our next decade here. So thank you. Take the opportunity is all I'm saying.
I think they're only giving us 30 minutes.
You can squeeze a lot.
If there's 30
You can
seconds.
squeeze a lot in 30 minutes. Look what we just got from Water Resources. You can get a lot of information out there.
So looking for action to approve for the delegation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Pyska, second by Supervisor Simon. Roll call, please, Johanna.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Aye.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe that completes our open session other than calendar. So let's start with calendar. Supervisor Simon.
Just finishing up the board meeting today. There is a field trip tomorrow to take a look at the 29 Expressway with LTA and APC, but I am going to miss that. I will have to do some traveling out of town tomorrow. I will be back here on Thursday. I will be attending a meeting later in the afternoon, the Lakeport Annexation Negotiating Team tomorrow. I will join that meeting by Zoom. And then on Thursday, we have our special board meeting with the evaluations. I'll be here in the office on Friday. Don't have anything on the calendar yet, but on Saturday, I have the Middletown, the MAC is having an event. They've asked me to speak, so I'll be at the MAC event on Saturday. And then as I always do, I always have a meeting on our calendar, just never misses, but we don't have a meeting next week. So we'll not be attending a meeting that does not exist. And then kind of got an open calendar, so that'll probably fill up. But at this point, I don't have much on there. I have the drought EOC on the 15th, and then coming back on the 18th, which is a very important meeting. We heard the report earlier about the Lake County Risk Reduction Authority. We have a couple agencies, Workforce Alliance in North Bay, and also the Eco Terra organization to come in and just report on what they're doing. And then back here on Tuesday the 19th. I don't think I missed anything. I may have. That's it.
All right, thank you. Supervisor Scott?
Tomorrow I have a first five transition meeting at 8:15. I'm going to have a constituent in my office at 9:30. And then from 11 to 5, I'll be attending the Hope Rising. We're having a retreat to further understand what our goals are and what we want to be doing in the next coming years. On Thursday, special Board of Supervisors meeting starting at 1. On Saturday, I'll be attending the Eli Stage Stop discussion. I'm learning more about our Native Americans. And then the following week, it's pretty open. 18th, I have a PIT committee meeting in the afternoon, and back here on the 19th.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Pyska?
Tomorrow morning, there's a TID board meeting, and then I've got a bunch of things to catch up on. Thursday morning is our Best Fit grant, then here for the special meeting. All the way to next Wednesday, I have the medical advisory meeting, and there is a MUSD board meeting. Then Friday the 15th is Pregnancy Loss Day, which we talked about earlier. That's where everyone will be lighting a candle at 7 p.m. The 16th is Heroes for Health and Safety. That event is going to be a great event. Again, I'm going to be, and that night, dinner at Peace and Plenty. The 18th, we have the risk reduction meeting in the afternoon, and I have our meeting with CAO Hutchinson, but Supervisor Crandall and I have been invited to fly over Walker Ridge out of Davis, and I'm super, super, super excited about it. So I'm trying to make that work with the things that I also have on the calendar. And I believe the RRA meeting is going to have to be in person because we didn't do anything.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess some clarification. I thought it was a JPA of the county, so I thought it was covered under that. No?
Is it covered?
Oh.
Anything that's not specifically only for the county needs those associations to approve the resolution.
It will need, but I can tell you that if you have the resolution on for that meeting and approve it to allow the remote meetings, then you can continue that
We'll
one
get
time.
that- Work to get that added on the agenda.
But again,
Okay,
you have to
thank
take
you.
them up every 30 days, and if you don't meet every 30 days, you have to take it up anew.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I've got.
And Vice Chair Crandall.
Okay, so,
I'm terribly sorry, excuse me. You don't actually have to do a resolution, you can simply make findings, I can send them to you, but you'll have to make them at the outset of the meeting.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Supervisor
no,
Crandall.
I wanted to know that too. Okay, so after the meeting last week, I traveled straight to Monterey for the annual RCRC meeting, and it was filled with the schedule where Wednesday morning we initiated with some topics where they invited some folks to come and talk with all of the representatives of the rural county. First was the implications of the migration of California, and when you hear that, you first think that it's about specific things, but it was about working from home challenges. It was about the influx of constituents moving to rural areas out of the urban areas, expectations of county services, infrastructure, and economy. Also, people are leaving California in droves. They're leaving to Texas and Idaho and all these other places as well. So they were kind of going into some of those type of topics of realities that we'll be losing a House representative as well because of the people leaving. And so just talking about those type of things and addressing it and getting us kind of aware of that. One of the most, my favorite was the keynote address by Secretary Leon Panetta, who is from Monterey. And he was the Secretary of Defense at one time and also was part of balancing the budget back in 1993 and discussed how he worked. He actually really went into like he scolded everybody, and for good reason. He didn't like the political climate that it has right now. He said the best thing we can do is work together to build a consensus for the better of the country, and not fight amongst each other the way we are. And so I think everybody that was there that represented as a county supervisor really appreciated what he had to say despite his political affiliation, and everybody was pretty satisfied with that. And I think it would be nice if that was recorded and we could just send it out for a lot of people to hear because it was very important. Then after that, we talked about California at the forefront of alternative construction, which is printing houses with cement. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of it, but it's happening. Apparently, you only need 2 or 3 people to actually fix these homes, and you can design it on a computer, and you don't need as many, you don't waste as many, you don't have as much waste, and it's more fire resistant, not fire, you can't say it's fire proof because of the legalities, I guess, or something of that nature. So the next day, we had Politics 360. That was more about redistricting, some of the discussion about the recall. And then just talking about different statistics and whatnot. These folks work from like Politico and a couple other agencies, journalists and whatnot. It's pretty interesting and then pretty debated topics, heated debated topics, but that was okay. Next day was something about space. I'm not into space stuff, to be honest. I'm really more about stuff that's happening here. They talked about traveling to Mars, and I'm like, look, okay, anyhow, so... Then we had our meeting Friday. Just wanted to highlight too that it was our first meeting we had a meeting in person, of course, when we were in Mammoth Lakes a couple months back. But one of the biggest things to come out of that is the RCRC's Wildfire and Forest Stewardship Ad Hoc Committee, the Wildfire and Forest Resilience Task Force Committee. They had a meeting. I'm on that committee now, and so represent one of the representatives from RCRC. And from that, it was a pretty decent meeting. I really appreciated it. Networking with folks. Had a really good talk with Michael Day while I was out there, getting some letters accumulated because there's some specific, the more letters the better. And so just having him kind of drive home some of that stuff. CalWater Representative Shannon McGovern was there as well, and so that really helped. We were talking to different counties about how CalWater has worked to reduce prices in our Lucerne area. And so we're just keeping these good relationships and networking in order to better represent our districts as well. So with that, back here, we had the Middle Creek Restoration meeting yesterday. I'll let you go into that because I've already been talking way too much about it. We had a flock meeting last night with the group. We had a neighborhood watch meeting, and we talked about the flock cameras last night. It was pretty good. They were pretty satisfied, and the sheriff was in that meeting with me on Zoom as well, and so was Sarah, the representative from Flock. So we had a good discussion with the people about that. Tomorrow I have the East Region Town Hall in Clear Lake Oaks, CSA 2 in Spring Valley at 7 p.m. The evaluation meeting on Thursday, special meeting. Friday, I don't have anything as of yet. I think I'm locking in, possibly going on the radio maybe. And so then next week's a holiday, pretty open. I think I have a couple things lined up. I just don't have them written on this calendar. But I know Friday I have LAF, third Friday at 6 p.m. And then we're flying out over Walker Ridge. And so back here on Tuesday the 19th. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much for your report. Looking back at all the stuff that I've done in the last week, I think Friday was the biggest amount of stuff. We are still discussing ARPA and trying to really narrow it down to a specific ask before we bring it to the Board of Supervisors for review and for approval. It's such an exciting conversation when you're looking at that large of a sum of money with a fairly broad amount of categories for how we can utilize those funds. And so it's a lively conversation, it's an important conversation, and I can't wait to bring it back to the board so we can get those final discussions finalized and then move forward with the actual action plan of how to utilize those funds. We also met with Senator McGuire and his staff to look at the cash fire. There are conversations about looking at the intertie between Lower Lake Water District and Canocti Water, looking to get that application right now from Lower Lake in order to provide that to Senator McGuire's office. They are on top of that, and they will get that to me as soon as possible. And also had a meeting with Senator McGuire. I know there was a program that just came out recently about Mendocino, Trinity, and Humboldt coming together for $1.5 million from the state to go after illegal cannabis. I did have a conversation with him about us needing that same level of support, and so he's going to take a look at it and see what's possible. No promises, but he seemed adamant that he would do whatever he can to help us out because we know we need that help as well. It's unfortunate that too often we think of the Emerald Triangle and think of the vertices only, but we're that whole entire green area in the middle of the vertices. We've always been a high point, especially when looking at CAMP, the campaign against marijuana planting. If we look at those numbers, we're always typically in the top 5, and so we need to get their attention and get some assistance and then see if we can get out of the top 5. We did have our redistricting meeting on Saturday. This is nothing new for the board, but I do want to remind the public to go ahead and go to our website. There's an easy image that you can click on that says redistricting, and at that point we're looking for your input for communities of interest. So please go to our website, provide what you believe are communities of interest for us. Maybe review our meeting. It's not a long meeting that we had, so you can understand exactly what we're looking for communities of interest, but it's things that are similar within a community that we want to make sure are not split up between districted zones. I will ask if it's possible for staff. I went through the process, went through the website, and tried to provide a map. If there's a little bit better of an explanation on how to utilize the map and how to get the actual PDF from the map and where to submit it, we did express that specifically during the meeting, and I was reviewing that meeting as I was going through it, but it wasn't very apparent to me when I went on the website. So if we could provide a little bit better direction, I think that might be helpful.
And so Matthew is listening, and I assume he'll work with IT to get that, to make it more user-friendly?
Yeah, and the mapping is user-friendly. It's just understanding, maybe telling people specifically what tools to use in order to help. I had to find all of the tools, and I was able to get by and figure it out, but we want to make sure to make it as accessible as possible, which is great that we have a GIS map and tools to be able to make lines, but we also have to make sure and understand how to get the final product done in order to submit it over to the redistricting at lakecountyca.gov. We did have our Middle Creek Restoration Project on Monday. Just want to tell you that as of Friday? I forget when. Friday or Saturday, we officially got our extension letter approved by the State Water Resource Board, and June 2023 is now our new deadline, and so we are continuing to do the work necessary. I will say we hit a snag. The 100-year flood zone is not correct. And so as we're looking at the new the lines for what properties we're acquiring and what kind of partial property we're acquiring, as we do the review, we're realizing that those 100-year flood zones from the state and from FEMA are not entirely correct. So we have houses right now that are being split in half by this flood zone when before it was completely off of those properties. So we're trying to rectify the problem and make sure that we're going to move forward in a way that doesn't stall or prohibit us from moving forward. But it's good that we catch it now, then we catch it way too late in the long run. Let's see, we're doing our Lake APC meeting tomorrow. We're going to be taking our field trip, as Supervisor Simon mentioned, and also later on that afternoon, there is a transit center presentation for staff and bus drivers, so I'll be taking part in that. On the 7th, again, getting to start with Judge's Breakfast. It was great to see everybody again, and looking forward to those happening weekly. And then we have our special meeting in the afternoon, and then ending my day with a Clear Lake City Council meeting. And then on Friday, meeting with behavioral health about facilities. I know I have something on the 9th. I can't think of what. Oh, yeah, on the 9th. Ooh, important. I believe it's from 12 to 2, but I'll be there starting at 9 at Lower Lake Elementary School. There is the giveaway to the Cash Fire survivors. I know that Candy Alka has been involved. She's the bike angel. I don't know a better term or a better name for her. But she's done some amazing work for all fires that we've ever had. I know she worked in the city of Clear Lake for the sulfur fire, probably started with the Valley fire. I'm not sure if she had started this before, but she's amazing, has a huge heart. And even though she is in Florida, still continues to do this level of work. And it is just, it's amazing. And I'm sure that everybody has such a warm feeling when they go and meet her and receive all the gifts that they're going to receive to help alleviate some of the trials and tribulations that they've been through. Then on the 11th, we have the train presentation for GoBiz, meeting with Carol. No, not happening because we got nothing else left, but we also have no meeting on the 12th. PEG board meeting on the 11th.
Meeting's at 3, right? The train meeting?
I have it here at 3:30. Maybe start at 3, but no, I have one directly from them inviting us at 3:30, so that should be the correct time. Then I have a pretty light week so far. And on that Friday, the 15th, I've been selected as being part of the new chancellor for the Yuba Community College District, looking through the candidates for the new chancellor. So I will be part of, it's an extremely long process all the way through February, but starting in October. First, we need to be trained and go through the right trainings, and then afterwards we'll be going through the candidates, but we are starting on October 15th, and so I'm looking forward to being a part of that and appreciate the invitation. And then again, meeting with our CAO and getting ready for the meeting on the 19th. And that will do it for our open session. We will be going back to closed session, and both items are still being discussed. And let me read you 8.1, Public Employee Evaluation, Title, Director, Community Development Director. And then 8.2, Public Employee Evaluation, Title, Director, Public Health Services. And with that, we will reconvene to closed session. Thank you.